for Dogma Chronicles. It's Sunday. Come on, dog, stop pulling. I just had some, I guess, minor surgery a couple days ago, so I'm still not feeling like being dragged around by this dog. Anyway, today's, one of the saints today lived to be 107 years old. I think he was a monastic. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, I reread Job chapter 7, verses starting at 1, and the readings for today's Mass. And Job is just getting one suffering after another, and he says, life is just being a slave. It's just drudgery. I wake up. My person's life lasts like the time of the weaver's, I don't know, some machine, like basically the clap of a hand, and it's over. The wind blows and you're done. And Job's having his faith tested, and at some point, I think he says something like, I should just sit here under this tree and die. Why shouldn't, unless I'm confusing that with Jonah. I think they both did. Anyway, Job was tested, but he never cursed God. I think he may have cursed his own life, but I don't think he cursed God. And Job was getting all these sufferings. He lost his family, he lost his home, he lost all of his children. He was getting bodily illnesses or something, and he still remembered, or maybe he didn't. Isn't that where he did forget his place, that God's in charge and has a plan and he doesn't really know? Isn't that the famous, where were you, Job, when I told the waters on the shore where to stop, when I grew the giraffe just as big as it is, when I put the sun in the sky and the stars and the moon? What do you know? How can you talk about my plan? No. We had a Pentatone that got old. They threw it out here for, I guess, the birds and the squirrels. And I thought I threw it where he wouldn't get it because it was in a gate, but he found it, one of the pieces. Anyway, so Job reminded me of a young man who I won't say who it is, but who was talking to me, mentioning how life was, but this was more of a politics and a social thing where he has to work, and supposedly people today can't have children because it's too expensive, and they can't get an education, they can't get a decent job, and they can't afford rent, and everything is so expensive. And then he is working, and he's working, I think, like manual learning trades. But anyway, and he was just talking about the futility. I do this, and then I'm 75 and I die. What's the point? Well, yeah. There is no point if one doesn't have God. There is no hope. There is no joy. There's no hope. There's nothing to look forward to if your life is 100 years and you happen to be in the suffering lane. Or let's say you were poor. Let's say you were poor and suffering, because you can be poor and not suffering. You can be poor and have the proper attitude. But let's say everything was terrible in your whole life. It's only going to last for 100 years. If you live your life with the notion that you love God first and you love God's children, which is everyone, including you, but you last. You love your neighbor and your family in the order after God first. If you live your life that way, then you have a good chance of having the next 101 on to a gazillion years with God in heaven. So yeah, of course you're gonna feel, life sucks, I'm gonna work a manual thing. Your generation has left us in such a fix, such a pickle, that we can't even pay our rent, we can't even do this. Well, yeah, but I mean, if you work hard in this country, if you work hard and you have some luck, and you learn different things like trades, you learn something to make yourself of value, whether it's being a plumber or a gardener or a lawyer or a doctor or a printer or whatever, from top to bottom, mechanic, whatever you learn, you'll be able to make it with luck. Not always, and everyone doesn't. There's 8 billion people in this world. Someone's going to be poor and suffer their whole life. Obviously, it's just a numbers thing. And someone's going to be brutally rich. Someone's going to be brutally rich and generous. Somebody's going to be brutally rich and hoard it. And that's just the way it is. But each of them and each of us is going to be judged, we're told. And if those people in whatever state, poor, rich, generous, stingy, live with God as their first love, their family and friends as their second love, and their community as their third love, then they should be fine, even if they suffer the full 100 years. So anyway, I was thinking about Job, and I was thinking about this conversation with this young man. And yeah, if you don't have a God, if you don't think there's something after this, then yeah, it's going to be a bit depressing. It could be. Especially if you're like the vast majority, probably 60%, well, I would say 60% of the country, of our country, is going to be in the middle, whatever, is not going to be rich. Let's just say there's that 1%, and then there's probably another 40% that are pretty dang rich and pretty comfortable. But everybody gets sick. No matter how rich you are, anybody can get cancer. Anybody can have a car accident. But anyway, so my advice is remember to love God first, and everything else will work out for you and for Job. And yeah, so do that. Ask the saints to pray for us. Ask Job to give you his wisdom that he ended up getting, and pray for the souls in purgatory. You all right?